Hi kids, it's Mrs. Marburger. I am back with a read aloud. This is just a picture book read aloud. And before we left school, we had been talking a lot about theme. So I decided to choose another picture book and I'm going to read it to you. And I want you to try to think about what the theme is in this story. This one's a little trickier, but I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to get it. And remember, in a book, there might be more than one theme running throughout. But as you're listening and you're figuring out in your head what you think the theme is, try to also support that idea. So, whatever you think the theme is, relate it to something in the story. Okay, so if you, for instance, when we did Two Bad Ants, we said the theme was, the grass isn't greener on the other side, or be grateful for what you have. Don't be envious of others. Um, so you went back in the story and then picked a situation or something that happened in the story that made you think that that was the theme. Okay? I think you'll figure it out. So this story is called Those Darn Squirrels. I like reading this to Caden because I get to do this. Okay, sorry. Oh, it's by Adam Rubin is the author. Can you see the pictures? Okay. On the outskirts of town, at the edge of the forest, there was a little old house, and the only thing older than the little old house was the man who lived in it, Old Man Fookwire. Old Man Fookwire was so old that when he sneezed, dust came out. He was also a grump. He hated pie. He hated puppies. Who hates puppies? And the only thing he liked was birds. All summer, the old man painted pictures of birds that visited his backyard. There were whirlybirds and bongabirds, bababirds and yabbabirds. Even a rare flugelbird came by once or twice. Bookwire's paintings weren't very good, but the birds never said anything. And when the air turned crisp and the leaves began to change color, the old man grew sad. He knew that soon the birds would fly south for the winter, as they did every year, and that he would be lonely. Then he had an idea. If he fed the birds, maybe they would stick around. So Old Man Fookwire built beautiful bird feeders and put them up all around his backyard. He filled the feeders with delicious seeds and berries, and soon birds came from all over the forest just to eat in the old man's yard. So his idea worked. But the birds weren't the only ones who liked the bird feeders. The squirrels did too. How many of you have bird feeders and sometimes there's not birds out there, but there's squirrels in your bird feeder? Yeah, here that happens a lot. Not many people know this, but squirrels are the cleverest of all woodland creatures. And in fact, they're fuzzy little geniuses. They can make a house out of a tree, a bed out of a bunch of leaves, and a box kite out of twigs, dirt, and squirrel spit. They are also excellent at math. Winter was fast approaching, and the squirrels needed to gather as much food as they could get to get ready. So they decided to take some of the bird food. The birds were not happy. Neither was Old Man Fookwire. When he discovered what had happened, he shook the old man fist and yelled, "Those darn squirrels!" He was mad. He filled up the bird feeders again, but this time he hung them from a clothesline. Then he went back inside, confident that the squirrels would no longer be able to get to the seeds and berries. But the squirrels were determined. They devised a plan, and this time they all took food from the bird feeders. It looks like they cleaned out the bird feeders. The food was gone. They had a clever plan though, didn't they? They stood on one of those tall, thin trees, but because they were all there and using cooperation, it was so heavy it hung down. That was smart. The birds were furious. Humph, 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 yelled a bonga bird. Those darn squirrels, yelled old man Fookwire. Yum, said the squirrels. Look at their fat bellies. Now it was old man Fookwire's turn to devise a plan. He went to the general store to get supplies. He bought lasers and clamps. He bought wires and springs. He bought all sorts of tools and built a veritable fortress around his bird feeders. And then he refilled them very carefully. Na, 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 snorted the flugel bird. So look at his plan. He is serious about this. Think they'll get in? Think you'll get that bird food? Well, the squirrels stayed up all night worrying about their strategy. They drank cherry cola and ate salt and vinegar chips to help them stay awake. And finally they had it, the perfect plan. They put on their tiny helmets and prepared to launch themselves into the air, over the fence, between the lasers, and onto the bird feeders. Oh my gosh, look at their plan. Good thing they were drinking all that cherry cola. Vinegar chips, I'm sure, helped out too. All right, the first squirrel misfired and hit a tree. Uh-oh. The second squirrel went too high and landed in a bucket. The third squirrel sailed clear over the house. The birds laughed and laughed. They each had one last delicious mouthful of seeds and berries from the old man's feeders, and then they flew south for the winter, just as they did every year. Phew, said the flugel bird. So, did old man Fookwire's plan work? Remember, he was doing that so that they would stick around because he was lonely when they left to fly south. So, did his plan keep the birds with him? Nope, they still flew south. They had to. It gets too cold where he lives. So, after the birds left, old man Fookwire was lonely just as he was every year. He fixed himself some cottage cheese and pepper, his favorite snack. But he was still lonely, and when he looked out the window, the squirrels could tell that he wasn't happy. Go away, shouted the old man. I don't like you squirrels. Aw, I feel sad for him. Nobody likes to feel like that. So the squirrels held a meeting deep inside a large tree, and they decided to give the old man a present to make up for taking the seeds and berries. That's where they had their meeting. Now, not many people know this, but squirrels are not only fuzzy little geniuses, but they also collect just about anything they find on the ground. So these squirrels had a vast stockpile of spectacular junk to choose from. But what would Fookwire like? Bottle caps? Popsicle sticks? Postage stamps? Finally, they had it. The perfect gift. Anybody know what it is? Because I'm not cooperating. Okay, so the squirrels stacked all of their loose change on old man Fookwire's doorstep. There were dimes and pennies, there were nickels and quarters, there were even a few tokens from Coco's Arcade, and it all added up to $47.36, plus a few rounds of skee-ball. Maybe you squirrels aren't so bad, Fookwire said when he found the coins, but I still like the birds better. This gave the squirrels another idea. They raided their junk collection again, and they got to work. And when old man Fookwire woke up the next morning, he was amazed to see that the birds had returned. What? The birds came back? Did the birds come back? But wait, those things weren't birds. They were squirrels in disguise. Great googly moogly, said Old Man Fookwire. This will make quite a painting. So he ran outside and he took down the lasers and the wires and the spring-loaded trapeze and he turned all the bird feeders into squirrel feeders. And then he painted till his brush ran out of bristles. The squirrels were so overjoyed they had a party in Old Man Fookwire's house. "Those darn squirrels," said Fookwire, and he shook his old man fist and smiled. And that's the end. Boys and girls, I love this story so much. I love the surprise ending. I love the squirrels, probably are my favorite character. The kindness that they showed, right? And the genuine care that they showed for Old Man Fookwire, even though he was nasty to them, it didn't stop them from being kind back. And then in the end, you could see what their kindness brought them, right? Happiness to Mr. Fookwire. Plus, the squirrels were having fun together with him. He was letting them eat his food. He was painting them. So it all worked out in the end. It was a very happy ending. So your job is, I want you to think about what the theme might have been in this story. And remember, the theme is like the big idea or the lesson that you should have learned. What does this story teach you or talk to you about? In the end, what is the most important thing to get out of the story? Okay, so this is how you're going to get me your assignment. You can, on a Google Doc or just one slide, you can send it to me. The title is Those Darn Squirrels. So you're going to put that at the top. And then underneath that, you can write or type the word theme, Theme. And then I just want you to write a sentence telling me what you think the overall theme is. And then a second sentence supporting that. What makes you think that is the theme? What happened in the story that makes you think that's the theme? Okay? All right, so I look forward to getting your assignment. Try to get it to me by the end of the week. That would be awesome. All right, have a great time doing your writing. I'll talk to you later, kids.